I'm muted. Since the market is dead and chopping sideways and there's basically just nothing going on anywhere, we decided that today we're going to do a Friday, which is our slowest day anyways, a Friday AMA. You guys can ask me anything. We can maybe look at some charts, talk about trading, investing, markets. Have at it. Let's do it. Let's go.
Let's go.
What is up, everybody? I am Scott Melker, also known as the Wolf of Wall Street. Before we get started, please, for God's sake, subscribe to the channel and tickle the like button with your, just whatever finger you want. Just tickle it, though. Do it gently. Be nice to the like button. Be nice to the like button. As I said, guys, I mean, the market is just chopping sideways. Misery abounds in all markets. Nobody seems to have any confidence in anything. Altcoins, we're sitting on support. Some are breaking support. Yeah, man, it's just a brutal time to be in markets. Time to sit back, take your hands like this. Those are golf tees. I'll take one golf tee in each hand and I'll put them under my butt and sit on my hands. That's all I gotta do right now. Sit on your hands. Sit on your hands. Guys, as you know, 2 days a week and the podcast, and for an entire year, sponsored by Bullish. See all of the benefits of your favorite sexes and dexes. Sex and Dex. With deep liquidity on an institutional grade platform, they're doing billions and billions in volume because it's institutions that are trading there. Not your keys, not your coins on a centralized exchange, but Bullish, you get to hold your own keys, but get all the benefits of a centralized exchange with complex orders, stop losses, take profits, with a full order book that you could trade against, just like trading on a centralized exchange, with all the benefits of a DEX. If you're not in the US or in certain places in the US now, slowly, you can go check them out. And honestly, man, just do me a favor and click the link. Then they'll see you click the link and that you actually care, do that. So listen, we're going to do an AMA. Producer Mike is going to choose the questions so that I can actually talk and not be spending all my time doing this. Nobody wants to see me do that. So we're going to light it up right now. Mike, hit me with the horns. That's a DJ. What's his name? Yeah. Hit me with the horns. Tell me. Got a question? I don't know if Mike's here. There we go. Hi, Scott. People talking about max pain expiry today at 40K. Got an explanation of what this means and how it arises. Sure. So the last Friday of every single month is options expiration. We often talk about the CME, which closes, I think, about 4 p.m. London time, but Deribit by far actually has the most futures and options in crypto. CME's institutional, Deribit's maybe a little more retail, but the volume is much higher in Deribit, and those are probably already closed. I don't want to speak, but I think they close around 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. But max pain means when you have options traders, calls, puts, people going long and short, max pain is the price point at which the most contracts close out of the money. So people like to say that price gravitates towards it, but it's a bit of a meme and rarely honestly happens. But it's the point at which the most people basically lose money on those expiring contracts, if that makes sense. Cool. Eagles got AJ. Did someone just say Eagles got AJ Brown? Damn, bro. Who is Tannehill going to be throwing to? Julio Jones gone, AJ Brown gone. Okay, sorry. Why has Bitcoin stayed the same at 39, but alts drop more? That's just what happens. It's just a function of Bitcoin dominance. 1 second, I'll show you. When there's not much confidence in the market, alts underperform Bitcoin. That's why you should be looking at. We don't do it here anymore because nobody cares. That's why you should be looking at Bitcoin pairs. But let me see something. I'll show you. 1 second. I got to bring up my screen. See? First of all, that's only for like the last, I don't know, this week. Let's even look at it on the daily. It's barely true, to be quite frank. But we had alts, as I showed you, sort of dropping to support. Now some of them are probably breaking support. Some of them are still sitting right above it. It's an interesting time for alts. But Bitcoin dominance, Bitcoin dropped a little bit. It was in the 40,000s. And so often, if that's scaring people, Amazon's down, Apple's down, Netflix is down. If people think there's a correlation and Bitcoin starts to look even a little bit weak, generally altcoins are like a beta version of Bitcoin. If Bitcoin goes down, altcoins go down more. If Bitcoin goes up, altcoins usually stay even against USD. And then when Bitcoin stays sideways, altcoins rocket. And when Bitcoin's choppy, here's the kicker. When Bitcoin's choppy with confidence, when it's going sideways after a move up and people are confident, alts usually go nuts. But when people are scared and Bitcoin's choppy, alts do not perform well. Alts rarely outperform Bitcoin, but when they do, if you time it right, you can make a lifetime worth of gains in a few weeks. What is next? What's your opinion on Polygon? I love it. I love it. So I invested in Polygon a long time ago. Matic was about 5 cents. Shared that in the free newsletter 100 times. Right. That was a very transparent buy trade. I've shared the chart over and over again. I've become friendly with Sandeep. I had him on the podcast. I'm actually hosting a panel at Permissionless in West Palm Beach 2 or 3 weeks. And Sandeep is on the panel. I think that layer ones, I've said this over and over again, I don't think layer ones can scale to mainstream adoption. Right. I don't think there's any blockchain in existence right now that can handle 1 billion people using it for their daily transactions. Not even close. So that means we have to look to layer twos, roll ups, snarks, all of these things that layer twos are doing to make these blockchains functional and faster. And I think that Polygon is one of the projects leading the charge to do that as a layer two. That's what I think. Next. Hey, Scott, what's your stable coin of choice looking to earn yield? USDC. It's the only one I use. I hold some Tether because I'm moving stuff around and it's whatever, but USDC, right? I think that they're, as an American, I think they're definitely on the side of the regulators the most. They're fully backed in a New York bank trust, which is the hardest state to be federally regulated in. I think it's the easiest trust. I'm not saying I don't trust the others. I'll say algorithmic stable coins for me are too early for me to even touch them. I'm not saying they're bad. I don't get it. It's not my core competency. And Tether, I'm fine with. I'm fine with it. It's just given the option, I generally hold USDC. Next question. Do you consider sustainable for stable coins to pay 10%? No, I don't. In fact, and listen, you guys know I'm a huge fan of Voyager, but I just saw yesterday that they tiered out their yields. They were always, no matter how much you held on the platform, 9% USDC, lower obviously for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and that you could then, if you hold enough VGX, you get another 1.5%. They just tiered it out like BlockFi did, where it's like up to 1 Bitcoin, you get a certain amount, up to 5, you get a certain amount, whatever it is. I don't have the actual chart. And the yields have gone way down. So like if you're holding more than like $50,000 or something, and I have a lot more than that there, you're going down to like 6.5% rather than 12. I'm using VUORI as well, who's another sponsor, as you guys know, just for transparency, but I'm literally using it like quite a bit, and their yields have remained stable. But for these sexes in the centralized, or we'll call them CFI, in the United States, the ones that are operating heavily here: Voyager, BlockFi, Celsius, Nexo. Guys, if you didn't listen to my roundtable yesterday with Mashinsky, Caitlin Long, Mike Alfred, and Bill Barheit, you have to. We talked about this at length, all about the regulation. I mean, Celsius, Abra, these are two of the biggest yield generating platforms in the United States, and they both talked about what they're doing and why. But no, I think there will be options, but I think that regulators are coming, and they're going to eventually, maybe it'll come back to this strong, but I think that you're going to have to go into DeFi, and it's going to be up to you to like decide how much risk you're willing to take to earn yield on stablecoins, right? Because you'll be in a smart contract. We've seen them be hacked, wormhole, all these things, right? So I don't think that in general, we're going to see steady 10% from, regulated platforms. Next. Will Drunken Sailor buy more? We all know the answer, but I'm asking anyway. Yes, he will never stop buying. I can tell you, listen, like we all see his 4-hour podcasts and conversations. He'll go on literally like anyone's show and talk about Bitcoin endlessly. And you might think that it's some sort of act or something like that. It's not. He lives and breathes this 24/7, 365. It's unbelievable. I'm telling you from a personal perspective. Give you a couple stories I've shared before. For example, when I've been to his house a couple times for barbecues, he literally like invites Bitcoiners over every single day for dinners, barbecues. And the minute you walk in, Bitcoin, 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 Bitcoin. How can we do this? How can we do that? What can we do to make this all over you? Right. And, you know, I had Richard Byworth, who used to be the CEO of Equinix, Diginex. And he comes up to me at the Bitcoin conference. I told you guys this story, but maybe some of you haven't heard it. He said, listen, I've got a world leader. We need to orange pill him right now. Can you get Sailor on the horn? Right. So I like text Eric Weiss, who's like Sailor's right hand man. And the guy, and Macri, the ex-president of Argentina, is like sitting at Sailor's house 5 hours later. And Sailor's like, I've got 30 minutes. And talked for 29 minutes and 53 seconds, took a picture, and the guy walked out of there. Macri walked out of there and said that Michael Saylor was like a high priest of Bitcoin, and he orange pilled him. So yes, he will buy, he will keep buying, and he will continue to be an evangelist, even if the price of Bitcoin is like $1,000. Bro, thank you for your content. I'm quite young, and listening to your content helps me so much to get better at trading. And as a human, have a great day. Thank you. That's just a nice comment. Mike, thanks for bringing that up, giving a little fluff. There's no question there, but I'm glad to hear that. Like, it's really what we do, you know? Gun to head, new all-time high in 22, 23, or 24. 22. Well, listen, if you like by that time, I don't know, you'd say 24. I think 22. Why not? It's a long time left this year, guys. And 69, 50% move up for Bitcoin, really not that big a deal. I think it'll happen this year. Listen, unless the world goes to complete shit. But my feeling is that even if you believe that Bitcoin has become a correlated asset, we have an election coming up. And so the stock market should pump at the end of the year. Historically, even in Fed tightening cycles, since the 1950s, I think we've had 12 or 13 Fed tightening cycles, right? Where the Fed goes hawkish, starts to raise interest rates. 11 out of 12 of those times, except for the early 1970s, markets have performed well after the initial shock, right? Been up, done exceptionally well over the tightening cycle a couple of years. And when it's happened in the years of midterm elections, every time, the first 2 or 3 quarters, so through the summer maybe, have been rocky and a struggle. But the last quarter, being October, November, December, elections are in November, markets absolutely rip and then outperform even more the next quarter of the next year. So listen, history doesn't repeat itself, but it often rhymes. So worth considering that at the end of this year, we might see one of those end of the year rips. Listen, you remember October last year? People forget Bitcoin's been shitty for a year, except for 1 month, right? It was right about this time last year that Bitcoin completely crashed from the 65K highs, Elon Musk, energy FUD, all that crap, right? Summer was terrible. October absolutely went out of control, and then it's been shitty since. We had 1 month. Portfolios did like 4Xs if you were holding altcoins. Every other month has been terrible. So maybe we see another one of those in the fall. Okay, next. Difference between taking leverage long on a perp future versus margin long. Perps, I don't really understand the question. If you're just like trading on BitMEX created the perpetual swap, basically, right? And that's what 99% of what you're seeing. The difference there is that on a perpetual future, it's traders paying each other to have that contract open. So basically, you've seen negative and positive funding rates. Either longs are paying shorts for the right to be long, or shorts are paying longs for the right to be short, right? So it's actually much cheaper because there's not 8-hour like funding rates if you're trading futures contracts that are out at the end of the month, the next month after that. So if it's just a different way of structuring your margin position. What's your thoughts on the FUD around ETH 2.0 and potential further delays? I always, Sean, is that like DJ Eldridge? Like you? Is that you, bro? Same one? I know Sean Eldridge. Is that you? What's up? If it is. What's your thoughts on the FUD around ETH 2.0 and potential further delays? I don't know. I think that likely we'll see delays because we've been seeing them for years, and I'd rather them delay it and get it right than rush it out. But I personally think, 9 out of 10 chance, even better, that everything goes smoothly and it's a fundamentally bullish event long term. Kind of like the halving, right? Everyone's like, the halving's coming. They expect Bitcoin to pump. And then why would it pump like the day the halving happens? It wouldn't. It takes time for the supply shock to hit, for the miners to adjust, right? So I think we'll see a sort of a similar situation. We might actually see a sell the news event when it happens. But do I think it'll fork any of those? I don't think that's going to happen. I think it will go smoothly. They'll do it right. And that's it. Yeah. Next. What's your OnlyFans? At scottmelker69420.org/penis fart. Next. Do you believe in Sailor's thoughts on the security law and how Bitcoin is the only digital property while all the other alts are securities? I haven't actually heard that thought specifically. So, yeah, I don't think that's true. No, I don't think everything else is security. I think that you have to go case by case, and that the SEC and regulators are never going to take the time and do the work to go through thousands of coins and figure it out. But there are plenty of coins that should not be treated as securities, that are utility coins. And I personally, I think that the best way to approach it for regulators would be crypto mom Hester Peirce has proposed a safe harbor law over and over and over again. She's an SEC commissioner, but Gensler not listening, which basically says, hey, listen, you can launch in the United States free for 3 years, but by 3 years, you have to basically have become sufficiently decentralized that you can prove that you're not a security, and create a new test for that. And so basically you have 3 years, you start it, you move towards decentralization, you get to a certain point and you're no longer a security. Obviously a rational way to do it. They just don't. Next. How viable is the approach? Borrow against your house at 7%, buy UST, deposit on Anchor for 19%, pay off house faster. I mean, it's viable, but you have to understand your counterparty risk. Listen to my podcast yesterday. It's all about risk. It's all about risk. Here's the question. And I'm not saying do it or don't do it. I actually think, I don't know Anchor specifically, but there are ways that this can be made relatively risk-free. But do you know how Anchor is earning 19% yield for you, and how transparent is that? I don't know the answer. I haven't looked into Anchor, but it's not magic internet money coming from unicorn dust, right? They're doing something to earn that yield. So not only do you have to know what Anchor is doing and trust them, whoever they're lending to or whatever they're doing to earn yield, however they're trading, you have to trust that those people are not insolvent and know their counterparty risk. Bottom line, we've seen enough DeFi hacks and problems that, like, it would be no surprise to anyone to see any of these platforms blow up. So if all of your money is there and say that money evaporates, well, you still have to pay back that loan. So listen, it's all about understanding the risk, choosing a platform that you trust, and knowing that there is still that low percentage chance that it all blows up. This is crypto, guys. Anything can happen. Anything can happen. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend that. 19% is really high, guys. Really high. Not probably sustainable long term. So that's what I think. Could you go through in detail what are the mechanics behind supply and demand during high pumps? For instance, what we experienced yesterday with Ape, who is buying 27, 28. I don't think I've ever looked at an Ape chart. Let me see. Haven't, but I can open one and we can look. And we can use it as an example. This is much better, by the way, guys, than, hey, Scott, can you chart my coin, bro? There's really not that much history here. Let's maybe 1 second. I'm going to pull it up in a second. I'm just formatting the chart for your viewing pleasure. All right. Okay, so Ape is basically gone ape from the first day. Who's buying? What was the question? Who's buying 27, 28? Well, there's always someone to buy the top. I mean, that's FOMO, right? I can't tell you who's buying, but it's usually like, that's usually when normies jump in, is right at the top, right? That's a hideous candle, actually. That's as toppy of a topping candle as you possibly get. I'm not saying it's topped, but that's what you would say. So look, like, you would ignore this first. Here's where I would have put, let's see. 1 second. Okay. Let's, from a supply and demand perspective is what you're asking here, right? So listen, this area is where price really rocketed, right? Let's ignore all of this. It's the first FOMO. So let's say something like here. ish, right? This, so we actually, I would actually have pulled it. Let me, here, 1 second. This whole area, right? We're going to pull it off of this last sort of down candle at the bottom, even though it's been tapped a few times, right? See this big candle right here? You could pull it off this one, but this kind of gives you a bigger area of where there's tons of demand, right? So, and then you would say probably, doesn't mean it's going to play out. I haven't looked, but this would have been your like main supply. That broke. So that didn't really work out. You could even say like up here, actually. Just this chart's not ideal for an illustration of this, to be quite honest. But here, as far as demand, when price exit an area rapidly, so like even like right here, something like that, or this big dump, right? That's why I say this is good. It leaves orders behind, right? So like if you were trying to buy Ape and you put a bunch of bids and a lot of people were trying to buy here between 1050 and 950, that dollar range, and price did this, it came back like a perfectly tested top and just exits and goes up, 50%. Those people are still stubborn and waiting to buy there. Their orders are still sitting there. And that's why you see that this ends up being the top when this comes down here, when this comes down here. Like I said, not the best example because this has gone parabolic basically, right? So like, but you could have drawn one here. I don't know how this will play out, but like, let's say you draw one here, right? If you're talking about this move, like you zooming in, right? Price exited this area really fast after all this price action here. Look, that's where it comes down and catches demand and rockets up again, right? Make sense? So basically, like if it's the top, it's usually that's when like grandma finds out about it. But in general, you're looking for areas that there was a ton of price action and it got left behind. That's probably the simplest way that I can describe that. Next. Great contest, God. How do you get so connected to influential people? Is it from your DJ days? I think I'm just nice to people. I don't know. First of all, like when you have a podcast and you get to a certain point, people like to, I'm not saying this in a negative way, but people like to hear themselves talk. Anybody will come on a podcast that they deem is like big enough. So, a lot of it is just, we ask them to be on the podcast, they come on, and then I kind of just become friendly with them and they keep returning. As far as people outside of crypto, it was from my DJ days. I don't know. I've always had a way of finding myself in really kind of interesting situations. I think I'm not afraid to talk to anyone. Like if I see any person that I want to talk to, I don't care who they are. It could be like the president of Mars. I'll just walk up to them and start a conversation. Just been the way I was since I was a little kid. And I think that people generally, like everyone, influential people are just people, right? If you're nice to them and talk to them like they're a normal person and you're not a dick and you don't fanboy out like a crazy person, they'll probably listen to you. I think you just got to be nice to people, really. I mean, I think that's it. But you also have to like find yourself in situations. I lived in New York City for over 10 years. I lived in Miami. I was DJing, a lot of situations where those things just kind of happen. So you have to be in the situation, and then I don't know. So I think it just like a compounding domino effect. Like get Michael Saylor on your podcast, you can call anyone, right? And he'll go on anyone's podcast. It kind of just goes that way. But really, you'll find that, first of all, never, like a lot of it's true, like never meet your heroes, because then they let you down because you find out they're just normal people like you with normal problems and normal anxiety and stress. But yeah, you can't, I think you just have to have like the self-confidence that they're not any better than you. Just people. None of these people are better than you. They might have accomplished things that are bigger than you, but we all bleed the same blood, man. Nobody makes me bleed my own blood. Nobody. Cool. What's next? Scott, firstly, thank you for your time and content. You're welcome. Not Justin. Who are you if you're not Justin? Do you have any trades open currently? How much exposure do you still have in crypto as a percentage from what you had in at 64K? Thanks. I don't have any like immediate trades open, no leverage trades. I haven't taken any Bitcoin trade. Actually, I haven't bought anything in a long time. Every once like so trades. I still dollar cost average into coins. I don't think about it, right? I do that in the stock market regardless, but like actively looking for something to buy. I had bought some step in and some dot moves when they kind of went up a little bit, but really not trading aggressively. As far as percentage, well, I was probably 75% crypto when the market was topped, but just because my portfolio is drawn down over 50%, I would say it's now probably more like 50%. Because like I own a lot of other stuff. My real estate has not gone down while crypto's gone down. So it's all a very like relative scale and it's sliding all the time. But I feel pretty comfortable having 50% of my net worth in crypto. I'll just say that. If you guys did not listen, I had a 10-minute interview with Ricardo Salinas. You guys know who he is probably by now. Third richest man in Mexico, multi-billionaire. Sat down with him at the Bitcoin conference. We talked about golf and Bitcoin. And it was only 10 minutes long, but he has 60% of his net worth in Bitcoin. Billionaire. Yeah. So I would say that I'm not particularly interested in trading right now. I got other things going on in my life. I have to be pretty like focused and dialed in to want to trade. I will only generally, there's been times in the past where like I literally like famously was sitting on a chairlift trying to get my like phone to buy Bitcoin at 6,000 like in December of 2020 maybe. But generally, like I need to be like sitting back there in front of those two computers, dialed in at my desk in my trading time for me to actively trade. Even when I see opportunities randomly, like on my phone and stuff, I generally won't take them. I just believe in being somewhat disciplined. Yeah. I'm going to open this one. You going to consent? Wait, real quick before you do that, Mike. Yes, I'm going to consensus. I might be a speaker or moderating a panel that's in the works, but I'm going to be there on site. BitGet, obviously, who sponsors the newsletter, has a private lounge, and we're going to be shooting just like I did in Miami. We're going to be shooting podcasts the whole time. Okay, Mike, you can go again, but I'll be there for sure. Scott, can you explain bulldives and beardives in short, please? Thank you. Short. 1 second. Here's the daily Bitcoin chart. Okay. Very easy. You only measure bullish divergences bottom to bottom. People get very confused. I wish I had the chart. Wait 1 second. Maybe I can, because this will do it. 1 second. Maybe I can find it here. This will help, I would imagine. If I can find the chart. Here. Let's pull up a reference. All I had to do is Google it, right? So listen, bullish divergences, see bottom to bottom, right? A regular divergence is when you have price making a lower low and RSI making a higher low. Why does that matter? RSI, any indicator really, if you're seeing something that's in an uptrend and volumes in a downtrend, you have a divergence. The indicator is not matching what you're seeing on price, which means you usually revert to the mean and go the other way. In this case, RSI is basically telling you that buying interest is rising while price is dropping, meaning that demand is increasing. Even though the price is going down, we should see it go up. Same principle on bearish divergences, right? Bearish divergences are measured top to top. So you see price rising, but interest is diminishing, right? Like a regular bearish divergence. That is showing you that it's time to probably get out because buyers are exhausted, sellers are stepping in, but price is still rising. You can do the same thing with volume, right? Maybe even more important. Volume confirms a trend. So rising volume when price is going up, good. Rising volume when price is going down, that means you're in a real downtrend. But if like say volume is dropping and price is dropping, that's how you get like a bull flag or something like that, right? You see a bull flag going, but volume's also dropping. It means you've had this major push up. Price is consolidating, volume is dropping, and then you see the volume kick in when it breaks out again, right? It's all about understanding the context and understanding the relationship between price and whatever indicator you're looking at, right? You want them in agreement to confirm your trend, and if they're not in agreement, it gives you clues as to what's likely to happen next. I hope that helps. Do you think a Solana entry today will be like an ETH entry in 2017? Sure, I've bought. So like talking about trades, I haven't taken trades, but you guys know I bought Solana at like 116 on the way down. I bought a whole lot more at $82. Now I'm sitting in it. I view it as an investment. So I think that that's potentially true. But I also think an ETH entry right now could be like an ETH entry in 2017. Well, I don't think it's going to go up like hundreds of thousands of %, but I think that ETH is still early. Great show. What's your golf handicap? I like to joke, and I did this with Salinas after we were recording. I said the exact same thing. He asked me what my handicap was, and I said it's golf. I'm not a very good golfer. I just started again in November. I can go out there sometimes and shoot like 10 over, and I can go out and shoot 40 over. I'm just very inconsistent, still working on my swing. But if I get dialed in my flow state, I can be pretty good. Scott, where are you staking stables? So I have them on Voyager and Vold primarily are the two platforms. I was using BlockFi, which I eventually got off. Celsius is having some problems. So I've got some spread out all over the place, but I generally do them on the very like predictable, secure platforms. What happens to stockholders of Twitter or any public company once it gets bought and goes private? Didn't you ask? Didn't we just talk about this the other day? I don't know the details of how they're going to structure it exactly. So I don't really have the answer to that question in this case. What's the red face behind you? That's so all of those, the art on my wall back there are like album project remix projects that I put out, and that one's called Trill Collins. It's a Phil Collins album cover with a red face, gold chain, and gold glasses. Yeah. Trill Collins. You can look it up. Here, I can look it up and show you what it looks like. Show you what it looks like. Find it. Here you go. I think it'll come up. No, it's not coming up. Hold up. Here. I'll share it. There you go. You can see it in the search. Trill Collins. See? He's Phil Collins, but he's Trill. He's Trill Collins. Trill Collins. Yeah. What's up? Scott, are you still averaging down on coin? Yes, I am. Sadly, I bought some Coinbase stock recently. And I say sadly, but actually, like Peter Brandt said to me in an interview once, he said, I tell my kids, buy a great company. Hope it goes down 50% so you can buy some more. Because if you have low time preference, meaning that when you say low time preference, it means that you are looking to the long term. If you're looking 10, 20, 30 years out, you should be super psyched that price is going down. So yes, I am still averaging down. Brandy says that has a nice haircut. Thanks, Brandy. See you soon. Brandy's one of our best friends. Emmy's best friend. DJ live stream when? I don't know, man. Probably never. I don't know. I haven't touched those turntables in so long. I can't even remember. With global uncertainty, are you having more cash on hand to buy the dip? Well, these days I just keep a lot of the cash in USDC on these platforms, earning those yields. So I have not aggressively moved to more cash per se, but I've got enough to buy things. Yeah. But like right now, I mean, I would buy Bitcoin, but like if there's a real meltdown, I would be looking to buy real estate. Like if we see a 2008 event where houses go down 60% and land and things like that, I would be probably just as interested in buying that and Bitcoin. Yeah. Scott, some of the biggest CT accounts are so bearish. Why so? 30K, 20K, in my humble opinion, will not happen. But why everyone's so negative? Your thoughts? That's what you do. You all pile on and you get negative, and then you read someone else's negative thoughts, and then you get negative. Goes the same the other way, by the way. Super cycle, never a dip again. Price can only go up, right? I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm just saying when you start to see the crowd going definitively in one direction, then I tend to agree with you. It means it's less likely to happen, right? But 30K, not that. I mean, we were just there last summer. It's fine. We've been chopping around. 20K. It's only possible because that was the all-time high before and has never been retested as support. So I guess it could be possible. Listen, I think if you are really convinced that the world is going to shit right now, I'm not. Sorry. I'm a positive person. If everything goes to complete shit, Bitcoin will go way down, right? But you have to believe that the world's going to like super melt down here. This guy says, I don't know what I'm talking about, and I can't even afford a home. I'm sitting in one, Jacob. Sitting in one. But and I own it. It's my house. So stop projecting your personal issues upon me. What's next? Is HBAR the most undervalued, under radar project? They seem so legit, serious institutions. I mean, I can't say they're the most undervalued under the radar, but I do think that they have serious institutional involvement and are probably undervalued. I'll give you that. I can't say the most, but I mean, if you really dig in, it's hard to disagree when you see who's invested and who they're doing partnerships with and things like that. Yeah. Talked about coin 2 minutes ago. Do you think it can do a 10x? Sure. Sure. Do I think it will? I mean, listen, yeah, I think it can do a 10x. Listen, if crypto, here's the thinking. I don't like Coinbase. Don't like Coinbase. I think they're kind of like government stooges a little bit. I think they've had chances to push back and have not. I don't like the way they still can't seem to get their tech right. There's a lot of reasons, but Coinbase is where the institutions are buying and custodying. Like Michael Saylor's custodying his coins with Coinbase custody, and they have the biggest slice of retail in the United States. If you believe that Bitcoin and crypto are going to grow in the United States, which I do, then I think it's worth that Coinbase will probably be one of the winners of that race. So that's it. Yeah. Thoughts on FTX as an exchange? Well, I can't use it. I use FTX US. I think it's great, but I can't use FTX. Never have. I'm an American. I don't do the like VPNing in thing. So, but I mean, how can you not love everything FTX is doing? It's amazing. I've never used the actual exchange except for FTX US, which is basically a different company. But yeah, I think they're great. I think Sam is a legend and is doing more to push this space forward than anyone else. Next. I don't have an opinion on Steam in 2022. I might have given you an opinion on Steam in like 2018. Literally the first time I've heard. Are we talking about? I don't know. I have no opinion. No opinion. Not enough information to give an opinion at this point. Sorry. Go ahead. Jim Cramer called for a 40% gain on ETH. We're doomed. Right? Yeah, we're dead. It's over. Pack it in. Jim Cramer doesn't know shit about shit. He's stocks, whatever. I'm just saying, like, he's talking about crypto for engagement. He has no credibility and there's no research behind him saying that. He's just talking. Yeah. Next. With the trend to piece of shit, can Bitcoin survive long term as the odd one out still on POW? And in fact, I think that it strengthens the case for proof of women. That's what POW stands for, right? Prisoner of war, piece of shit. I don't even know. With the trend to POS, can Bitcoin survive? Yeah. In fact, I think that if it's the lone wolf that's operating on the Securus network, it strengthens the case as digital gold and a store of value. And I don't think it hurts it at all. In fact, I think it strengthens the case for Bitcoin. Bitcoin is Bitcoin, and then there's everything else. We can talk about what those are. Yeah. In a choppy market, thoughts on selling covered calls? I honestly, I've stopped trading options in general, but I mean, it's a good way to hedge, if you understand what you're doing. Just really depends on what you're trading and how you're doing it. Yeah. What will be the thing that onboards the average guy in the street, the mass adoption, an Apple app or gaming payments? Are we talking about specifically to crypto? I think there's a lot of things that are doing it now, right? I mean, I think the average guy on the street at least knows what an NFT is at this point. Just 2 years ago, I would have said they'll buy Bitcoin because inflation and blah, blah, blah. But no, most people are coming into crypto through fucking meme coins, NFTs, and metaverse and things like that. But yeah, I think we're always one killer app away from mainstream adoption. I can tell you anecdotally that like a lot of my friends who never wanted to buy Bitcoin will buy USDC and park it on one of these platforms while the yield exists because they understand just earning passively on a savings account, right? And I think that has onboarded a lot of average guys in the street, but I think we're hitting them from a lot of angles now. I think we'll get there. Can you talk about how CME options expiring affects the price of Bitcoin? Sure. So the end of the month futures, which we were talking about before, futures contracts you're basically placing a bet on the price of Bitcoin at a arbitrary or a specific time in the future. Depends. You can have a 6-month contract, year contract, month contract, whatever. The idea is that obviously since it's not so easy to move the price of Bitcoin anymore, but the crypto market maybe is easier to move than others. is that if you have a huge position on the CME, and by the way, their volume's not really big enough to justify this argument, but what people say, someone has a huge position on the futures market, they can then push the price in the spot market to make sure that they win, right? So if like you're betting long futures or if you're short futures, as the expiry comes closer, if you're pretty close and you're a whale, you can push the price towards your desired result and make sure that you expire in the money and make profit. Yeah, that's why. Thoughts on EGold as a long-term investment? Listen, I'm an EGold homer. You know, like I am an Elrond fan, boy. Just like all those like little community guys wearing the t-shirt and stuff. Started as a trade for me. The very beginning of the newsletter, if you guys remember, it was not EGold, it was ERD. And I was aggressively buying it at 15 sats. 15 sats. Fractions of cents. Went to like 300, right? Sold a bunch of it actually and kept some. They rebranded to EGold, and then in the newsletter again was aggressively buying at $10, and it went to like 500 or something, right? I love them. I've had Benjamin on the podcast twice. I've done an AMA with him once. I just like them. I just like him. And I think that he's a brilliant guy. He reminds me of Elon Musk. He's an exponential thinker. And so like, I like to put my money like behind a great founder. So I've, not only have I like bought EGold, I've like bought the stuff that's on their Launchpad, HoloRide, Ethereum recently. Not trades. People ask me about trades. I'm not selling this stuff. I'm buying a little bit, you know. It's just great ecosystem. I'm very bullish on it long term. Oh, somebody, it wasn't me, but somebody finally blocked that Bag Dicks, Jacob Girard. I was going to just engage with him some more, but whoever did it, whoever's moderating, peace out, Jacob. Next. I am now very confused. I have 20% in cash, cannot decide if to wait or buy a good altcoin like AXS, DOT, or Chili's. I can't tell you what to do. But I think that you should always be 15, 20% in cash. So I wouldn't be rushing to do anything. I think that you should always have at least 15% in cash. And if you deploy that, you're going to have to find a way to sell something to get back into some cash. So up to you. Maybe, you know, like take 5% of it aside and start dollar cost averaging into a coin that you like. Not financial advice, just one approach that you could take. Yeah. I don't know. I do like DOT though. I do like those. Hidden gem revealed to just us here. I don't know, man. Don't do that. Next. If I do that, there will literally, if I literally even have that conversation, even though I have some in my mind, then somebody will go share this with certain like Twitter, and it will be like, there will be like threads about how I'm like pumping and dumping and shilling and a scammer. So I just don't know. We don't talk about low caps. No. Is Elon an alien? If so, is he a friendly alien? I don't think he's an alien, but I think maybe we're in the Matrix and he's like, you know, one of the like bosses or something. If he is an alien, though, he is friendly, I would say. So what's next? I miss these AMA streams. Have a great later, Vandal. I love your graffiti vibe, but I am going to tell you that as much as I do love, and we talked about this before, your avatar looks like a dick. A weird dick, but a dick nonetheless. Short to midterm outlook for the market. I think that anyone who's being honest right now says I have no idea and sit on your hands. I'd like to be bullish, but I could see it absolutely going either way or going no way and just chopping people up endlessly. It looks like a dick. It's funny. I don't know if Femi's laughing at that. Looks like a dick, though. Sorry, I just saw someone's Adam or Dot. Both. Why not both? You know that little Asian girl meme? Why not both? Yeah, we can't talk about. I don't know if she's laughing that I said talking about shit coins, but like, there's zero upside for me to talk about that shit. Even though I would love to share with you the things I like and I'm passionate about, but there's some rules you guys might not know about being an influencer. You're never allowed to talk about things you actually like because it means you got paid. when I was in music, if like I had a friend and I was like, this guy's album is fucking dope, I'm going to tweet about it, people would be like, yeah, support. In crypto, if you're like, my friend has a project, I think you guys should check it out, you get 15 threads about how you're a scammer and you're pumping and dumping something. This is the worst. It's terrible, right? So there's no, like, unless I was actually like trying to move the price of these coins, which I never am, there's literally zero upside, never talking about it. None. If you're not an influencer, never allowed to talk about anything you actually like, because apparently you got paid for all of it. You're never allowed to sell anything, right? Right. God forbid you did tweet something and like it goes up like 50% over a month, and then you sell it, and then they say you're using that you're a scammer. So if you're taking a trade, you're actually not allowed to take the trade. Only other people are. Because if you take the trade and take profit, you were pumping and dumping. Whatever. You get it. So no, it means you should believe everything I say. It just means that I'm not saying everything I would like to say. I don't think I hate the term influencer. My God. Emmy and I argue about this all the time. She's like, you're an influencer, bro. I'm like, I'm not an influencer. Stop. I don't make TikTok videos of me dancing too often. Yeah. What would you do in crypto right now if you had 50K to invest? I would slowly buy, I would split it up maybe 6 months, a year, and I would dollar cost average weekly into Bitcoin and Ethereum. That's what I would do. We got about 5 more minutes. How were banks able to pay high interest rates on saving accounts years ago? Was it due to the Fed interest rates being high? Don't know how to look up the answer to that. Yeah, basically. Right. Listen, like my parents, I talk about this, like in the 80s, they had a mortgage was 15%, right? But if interest rates were that high, you were getting 12%, 13% in your bank account, right? The problem is now banks have other creative ways to earn yield. Like there's security lending, just like Celsius and all these people are, right? Listen, you deposit your coins into a Celsius. They lend it to people who are vetted, right? Vetted, theoretically. And what they're doing, instead of keeping 100% of what they make lending your coins, they're giving you 80% and 20% they're keeping, right? 80-20 split. Really nice. It's great. A bank does the same thing. They lend your securities, they lend the money, they fractionalize whatever you've deposited, and they just give you nothing. Banks could do this. JP Morgan, you can read it. Like Mashinsky's pointing this out to me. You can read it right on their website. They're making 20% lending securities. You just don't get any of it. If they gave you 80%, they could do the exact same thing as these platforms. It's funny. You say, don't worry about Twitter dicks. I don't think you guys appreciate that it goes offline. I've talked about this before. I go to a conference, I bring security because people threaten me. People try to hack me. People try to SIM swap me. People talk shit about my wife and kids privately. It extends beyond Twitter. I'm not a cartoon character. If someone talks shit about me, there's real life consequences, right? They know who I am. It's my name. It's my face. It's public. So yeah, you have to worry about it because I have kids. Yeah. Whatever. Scott, how can an asset that at any time can be pumped or dumped by a few whales succeed? Feels like whales are always in a corner room just waiting to move. That's not what's happening. I've talked to like a lot. We're beyond that in Bitcoin. Right? And the fact that whales can move the price of something is actually the definition and benefit of a free market, right? People joke that Bitcoin is manipulated. The stock market's manipulated, guys. The Fed is literally like putting a floor under the stock market for years, making sure price only goes up. They're buying back, companies are buying back their own stocks. It's literally manipulated. Bitcoin drops 50%. Nobody comes in to bail it out. The network doesn't break. It just operates. If the stock market goes down 10%, there's like circuit breakers and you can't trade for a while, and they buy some bonds and they do all this stuff, right? And so Bitcoin, just because someone has more money than you doesn't mean it's manipulated, because you have the power to take the same trade as that whale. So your goal in a free market is to be on side with the big players and not be offside. And you have that power as much as anyone else, just a matter of your own financial decisions and how you approach it, right? So it can succeed, and the bigger the market gets, the less they can move it, and that's how a market matures and volatility dies. Right. Hey, Scott, I've watched you. Okay, what do we got? I saw here. Whoa, sorry. Hey, Scott, I've watched you for nearly a year now. I can feel your frustration in the real life. My phone boss out to your family, but why do this? Can't be worth it if family is threatened. It's worth it. I don't fucking negotiate with terrorists, man. I get what you're saying, but what am I going to do? Like not live my life because there's dicks on Twitter? No, it's the price you pay. And I think that, I mean, I'm not trying to say that I'm like some important savior or anything, but like, I think what I'm trying to do is helping people and it's good. So I'm going to continue doing that regardless. Right. And it's wonderful that I make a living doing it. Like, why would I stop? Like, I will just protect my family and life. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. But I'm going to do exactly what I need to do to continue to make money and spread the word about this stuff and take whatever precautions are necessary and just not give people an excuse, right? Just be very transparent, behave well, and then you don't have to worry about it. Anyways, yeah. Go ahead. Maybe we got time for like one or two more questions. Mike, you got anything there? Can you show how to get the horizontal buy sell wise on the chart and explain how to read them? Are you talking? I don't really know what that means. Are you talking about like in a depth chart where you go on the exchange, it shows you like where the orders are and where the sell walls are and buy walls are? That you just bring up the depth chart. But if that's what you're talking about, you can't read them because it's spoofing, right? It's illegal in normal markets. Crypto, it's perfectly normal. I remember being in a beginning crypto trader and being like, there's a huge sell wall, man, like sell. Someone wants to sell, or a huge buy wall. Oh my God, man, there's a huge buy wall. I need to buy really fast before this person buys. They're faking. Here's a hint. If there's a huge sell wall, that's because somebody is trying to hold price down so they can buy. It's going to go up. The sell wall lifts, price goes up. It's the opposite of what they think it's going to do. If there's a huge buy wall, you probably might be a good time to sell because once that buy wall is removed, that person was holding price up to sell, not so they could buy more. It's usually the opposite. Usually the opposite. Yeah. What's next? The new content shows are banging. It's massive health. Thank you, man. Thank you, not Justin. I don't know what to call you if you're not Justin. Appreciate that. We're trying. We're trying really hard. What's the worst travel experience you've ever had? I don't know. I've had some pretty bad fucking travel experiences. I'll tell you, I can't tell if it's the worst, but it's the craziest because it was like 1989 or 1990. 1990, my dad took me on a trip. He was giving a lecture in India, giving a lecture in Israel, and giving a lecture in Holland. So we were in India, and we had to go from New Delhi to a city called Hyderabad. It's to Madras. So we get on this plane. It's Indian Airlines, not Air India, like the local, this is in the 1980s. So like we get on the plane, they hand me like a dirty towel to wipe my face. It's like cold. My dad's like, that literally has like malaria all over it. Don't touch it. But I go to the bathroom and there's literally a woman cooking a chicken on like a gas sterno stove on an airplane. Like probably blow up the whole plane. No rules. Do whatever you want. Crazy. So this place is disgusting. So then on the same flight, we land randomly. They're like, we're going to land the plane for a minute. Cool. Plane goes down in Hyderabad and Indian military gets on the plane, like en masse. They clear the back of the plane. Indian military goes back to the plane. My dad says to me, I probably can recognize 3 people in India, and one of them just got on the plane. So the military was there. There's a guy named Sri Rajiv Gandhi, I believe, who was running for prime minister or something, gets on our flight. So they landed, and on our way down to Madras, we get to Madras, and you get to the airport, and we were stuck getting out of the plane for 3 hours because like tens of thousands of people were there, like handing him flowers and whatever, you know, doing this whole thing. The craziest part, we finally got out of there, whatever. The craziest part of the story is like literally a month or 2 months later, he was assassinated in that same exact scenario. He got off a plane. There were 10,000s of people there, and somebody like handed him a basket and it had a bomb in it, and he died. Like exact same scenario. Crazy. Anyways, as Emmy says, we got to go. I got to go. I got to go. Crazy story. Crazy story. I was 13 years old, so it was pretty wild. Pretty wild. Guys, thank you for tuning in. I hope you have a great weekend. I hope that we see some sweet action. Check out Bullish, guys. Just click on it. Check the thing out. I appreciate you guys hanging out. That's all I got for you. So I'm going to turn off this little bannery thing. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to do the thing. I'm going to hit the button, and we're out.
Let's go.